Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I am your host, Rob, broadcasting to you as always from the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, in the Extreme Studios tonight. Joining me from the Great Midwest is RDV. We're continuing our coverage of the Landman television show review here, Season 2, Episode 8, Handsome Touched Me. RDV, let me ask you a question about this episode. How did it feel when I touched you?
Whoa. See, I thought you were really handsome until I realized that, no, you're not handsome at all. So it wasn't handsome Rob. So I was kind of pissed off. I just got plain Rob.
You got robbed.
Yes.
So this episode, a couple quick notes here about the whole thing.
Well,
I expected a bit of a the show's supposed to be a drama, we know that, and oil's just the background, and that's fine.
It's Dallas, modern day now at this point.
But right now, I'm not feeling, and I've been saying this for a while, any sense of threats, anything, whatever. However, I had kind of an epiphany while watching this episode, realizing, this show knows exactly what it wants to be, and it's what we saw here. I have no problem with that. The pacing's a little off, I think, even in this episode, but thankfully, much of the crap was minimized in this episode. What happens in here makes sense. We get some new additions and all that, too. And we basically get the gist of where this is going to branch off going into, I'm assuming that's already been announced. I should look that up. Season 3 and perhaps even 4 as well here, too. We get some definitions of stuff, but I'll have to bitch a little bit about some minor things in here, too. But overall, I enjoyed the episode. A very pleasant watch. What was your initial take?
Well, before I went live, because I had to create the thumbnail and stuff, so I was looking at the title and I'm like, Handsome Touch Me. Who is coming up with these title names?
The writers.
There really is one writer. It's Taylor Sheridan, creator, showrunner. Handsome Touch Me is the most stupidest episode title. It should have been Cami Gets Emotional. That would have been a better title because that's what this was.
It's about Cami being reawakened, whether you say that sexually or not, or what, by that guy, physical touch of that guy. And we'll talk about that guy.
Moving on, it's hard to do. That's what would have been a better title. But
we're moving on up to the east side.
So it's we got a couple of things going on here. So Cami was at a hotel. She's waiting for the meeting, and she doesn't realize she had like a bit of maize on her face. This guy comes over, approaches her, thinking he's
on her.
He's gonna mac on her, yes. And even though she has a giant diamond ring on her, how he doesn't see it, but he doesn't care.
She's at a bar by herself. That's all that matters.
Yes. So he just starts talking there, but then he goes over and he touches his finger to her, like, oh, you get something on your face. He touches her face. She freaks out because the guy touched her face. One, he never should have done that. And
Correct.
Two, I think she's really overreacting because she's not emotionally stable. We've seen this throughout the series. So she goes in the bathroom. She has her little substance kind of like revisit from that movie and breakdown. And then later on, Tommy has to go. He goes up to the House Cooper, and they meet at the basically the patch where all the workers are. And he tells him if I speak, and the rest of the guys, and he says, Dale says, hey, Cooper's going to be a foreman and project manager. Mustafa speaks, or the character in there was kind of taken back at first, but he's like, shit, this guy struck 6 times in a row, oil. And it's like, well, I don't care what you would call it. We can keep his dumb luck going. Let's go, we're going to go work on his stuff over there. Yeah. So once they figure that out, then they're all fine. Yeah. So those go on there. So then, so after leaving that, before he goes to the meeting, he goes over to the strip club, which we saw about earlier this season, I think it was, with the old folks. Anyway, so he goes over and hires basically, a stripper because he needs it, because his dad literally fell in the pool and almost drowned in the beginning of this episode. He had, his dad said the hips hurt, he can't move, whatever. So he goes to the strip club and basically it propositions her. And she's like, whoa, I don't do sex. He's like, no, I got an old man at home, my father, sweet old man. And he has problems, stretching and stuff. And obviously, you're limber here, you do all that stuff, so you know a little bit about, keep staying limber and all that stuff. So he's like, well, I want you to go over there and be like, I forget what they call it.
Physical therapist.
Physical therapist, yes, for my father. And she's like, I'll pay. He's like, no, there's no sex whatsoever, unless you want to. He's like, and she's like, I love that little time. He's like, okay. But
unless you want to. Well, because strippers are,
Yeah, some are.
Do some stuff.
Yes. So we got that going on. So he's like, twice a week, go over there for an hour or whatever, and go over and just help out my father, help him, And she's like, why don't you go to physical therapy? Because he ain't gonna let anybody help him out. He sees a good looking girl, he'll fold like putty, And
one thing I got to say about this scene is it happens early on.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic. It's ballsy. It's a little different, and I was like, this is so ludicrous, right?
Yeah.
But the way he talks, he's very this is where his acting is so good, and this is a relative newcomer, the actress who's playing the stripper, because she's sitting there counting her tips, money and all that. Got an incredible body. She looks like a stripper, and I don't mean that in any negative sort of way.
She looks like an athletic dancer.
Exactly. She's built, and this show does a very good job of making all the women look stunning, no matter which woman it is.
Whatever the role is, they just they go into it, and then it's believable.
But man, that opening scene, I always believe that the opening scene and the ending scenes of movies or novels or whatever are really important ones, whether the writers or whatever do themselves. That's just how I look at it, right? You remember first impressions, but what you're left with is what you'll remember probably the longest. And seeing him calling out to his dad, he's like, son, and you can't hear him. He's like, am I talking to your fucking ghost? And you're like, oh, this is
I know.
Fell, right? Because they showed him by the pool.
Imagine get up.
He's laying there kind of awkward in the pool, and he wasn't, I guess, injured, but he was so hurt, sore. And I'm like, it's great acting. I know he's old, but it's just, if you've never, I don't want to say opportunity like it's a positive thing. If you haven't been in a situation where you're seeing somebody old and physically frail, and see like what he went through and all that. And I'm sure he's spry enough for an 82-year-old actor and all that too. This is heart-wrenching to me. And, he gets him out or whatever. And remember,
he first sits in there.
He's committed to having a good life, and his problems bother him, thanks to his dad. So he gets him out and he hugs him. And I'm like, God, I was like almost in tears. All right, so what does he do? He goes and gets the stripper. I'm like, that's a good boy.
well, actually, TL hugged him.
They hugged.
So TL was in there. He got his way. He was trying to get his way out of the pool, and he got it. He's on his knees. I mean, he's where the steps to walk into a pool, and he's out there. And Tommy goes, sits down there, takes his boots off, and then sits down there in the pool, and they have to talk about. And it's basically at this point we're all kind of like sick of depressed TL, because that's what it very much was. I can't move or however. He's like, what about all the happy stuff? He's like, I'm dead. My body is failing me, son. I can't do anything whatsoever. And so he helps him get out of the pool, and then he's like, he helps him to the chair. He's like, hey, you want me to get you a towel? He's like, it's 95 fucking degrees outside. I'll be dry within an hour. So he goes on, changes his clothes, and Tommy just heads out. Yeah, he goes, drops at the strip club, asks the girl, hey, can you go do physical therapy with my dad, whatever. So because of course she's gonna head over there later in the episode, but he has to head over to the plane. But before that, though, before he leaves the home, he has Angie, who basically wants to take the old folks out to the casino. She's like, I need to borrow 10. So she ends up calling him after he's already left. And then Angela Carter or Angie,
this is a sexy episode.
She's Allie Larter is in her underwear, but she's like, hey,
bikini,
like,
baby,
bikini. He's like wearing bikini. He's like, but. Because he's like, it's so hot outside. He's like, why don't you go to the pool? I was like, I don't want it. It's like, so you go, why are you in bikinis? Because, I'm in the mood, and it's still. And she's like, hey, if you give me the 10 grand, it's like, and then I'll be happy. He's like, okay. He's like, if 10 grand buys me the best sex on Saturday, fuck it, I'm in. So she ends up taking her and Ainsley take the along with the nurse, works
the party crew.
They're in a party bus. They got the shakes, there's the Slurpee machine. They see at the 7-Eleven. Don't squeeze the juice.
It's not the best either.
I love. And then they pretty much the old folks pass out. So they stop at a gas station. For the old folks are in there. Meanwhile, her and Ainsley give the lady a workout or basically a makeover.
I liked it.
Yes. They kind of tear her like her sleeves off and stuff, and they tie in a knot and stuff. She's like, this is a woman who basically has never really thought much of herself. She thinks she's playing Jane, whatever. Well, she's married.
She's African American. She looks like she's from
the
eastern side of Africa, with the way her face is and all that too. She's just that there's a certain kind of look and build to it. I've worked with a few people from that area, and I thought she did not look bad. She looked very plain and made up, but that's the power of television, right? Because they literally
they dress you down,
shirt and all that too. Oh yeah, this was.
Well, yeah. When you have a girl who looks really incredibly insane and hot, and then they're able to do what they did in Dodgeball, made her the unibrow, and stuff. They had the power of makeup and magic and stuff like that. So anyway, so they end up basically helping her out, and then they go to the casino, and then they run into basically she comes over and says, "Hey, one of the guys," and all over there they basically were blowing through their money at the craps table. Roulette. That's what it was, roulette. And she goes over there and she's like he's like, "Hey," and she's like, "Don't you guys know you always got to bet on color?" And he's like, and they're like, and the guy who's running the thing, says like, "Oh, that's not true." And she's like, "Yes, it is. So you just got to stick it through." And she loses some stuff because keep going red, but eventually she keeps making more money. She walks away with $300,000 by the time she comes home.
Yeah,
$10,000, $300,000. So right here we're seeing an example of someone taking an investment, a gamble, and sticking it through.
Yeah.
So.
Well, here's the thing about what's happening here, and it's going to sound maybe a little weird, but this is an interesting episode because you and I have talked a little bit about how certain relationships are like doubled or tripled in the episode. Like, the old people's relationship is like the middle and the young, right? Here with the betting, I've never asked you this before. Are you a gambling man, sir?
I do not gamble because the closest I get to gambling is going through an investment broker. Stock market.
See, and I get it, right? Because
I want to return. I don't want to just throw money into this because most casinos are rigged.
Well, I don't disagree with you on that. I will tell you that it's interesting because, and this is something that unless you are a gambler type person, you would not you specifically, RDV, but the average person, I don't think watching this understands what's going on. She's going over there. They haven't done anything wrong. They haven't stolen her money. The guy just ran out of it. So it's basically you got a 50% outcome. It's one of the closest things you can do it. So like if you're trading stocks and you're getting investing, there are ways to identify when to purchase and when to sell. And what was interesting is she's doing a very basic type of system that most people believe in, where she bet $100, she lost it. She bet $200, she doubled her bet. She lost it. I think she bet $400 more. She doubled again and lost it.
She bet $1,600. She bet it.
So that's called the martingale strategy, where you're doubling your bets. And the thing is if I spend $1,000 on a stock, my loss is $1,000 if it goes to zero. But if it has a 10 times upside and I can make 10,000, that's a 10-to-1 ratio. That's an asymmetric upside. So if I'm close to 50-50, it may pay off. So it's interesting because she was 100% right with what she's saying. And she's having a kind of a nice little polite argument with the guy at the roulette table, and they're showing. And I thought, this makes perfect sense. You got all these old people, the blue hairs, doing the slot machines. The guys are doing a roulette and the craps and all that too. And she's a winner. So we've kind of shit on them a little bit because right now there's nothing for both of them to kind of do, especially Ansley. But I thought it's kind of positive to watch them trying to find ways to entertain these older people, which is exactly what they're doing with the old man there, Sam Elliott. So I kind of liked it. I thought it was fun.
I wasn't say shitting on them. I didn't say it.
No, not you and I, but just it's just. I think a lot of people don't like the women's lack of story arcs in there. It's
so a lot of people I saw online were comparing this episode, last episodes. They said they're mad because season 1 there was threat, there was danger, there was Tommy had to deal with the cartel and his wife stuff. This season is mostly focusing on family and getting everything, all your gooses, all your eggs in one nest, and that's great because Tom needed he needed stability in his life. And I don't think anything's going to happen to TL where TL's going to die or anything like that, but he needed a reminder. And it was great to have Sam. I always love seeing Sam Elliott. The problem is I need Sam Elliott to quit being a depressing, mopey old man.
It's tough to watch.
Yeah, it is. It's depressing. No one wants to watch. I don't care if it's a TV show or in life. That's horrible. So
I'll be honest, I kind of thought they were going to maybe get the neighbor over to help him out. I didn't think he'd go to the strip club.
Well,
I don't have a problem with that.
I think that. Well, I'm glad because the neighbor brought the neighbor scene, because that reminded us. That's just for us this episode. As Tommy says, he put a pair of tits in front of my brother, my dad, and he's perking right up. He's great. And that was proof. The neighbor, because he was kind of flirting with her too. He's like, and stuff. And she was kind of flirting back a little bit. So it shows that there's still some vices that TL likes. They'll wake him up. Anyway, though, but as I pointed out, this little Angela basically winning, doubling her money, going from 10,000 and coming out with a $300,000 profit. And so with this we're gonna go on to with Tommy gets onto the plane. and he's there with Charlie, and who's sitting next to Rebecca, and pretty much Nate decided he's going to stay home. He's going to do a Zoom call because I don't know why. I guess
he was working on the what they call
investment
risk analysis.
Risk analysis back and forth.
Yeah, there's two scenarios. How much are we going to lose if we sue or if we don't find?
Well, they get sued. Yeah, either way.
Right. So they're trying to do a best case scenario.
Yeah, yeah. So they Tommy called a meeting. Pretty much going to go over to Cami's office. They fly out to Fort Worth, and they get on the plane, and everything's great. And then when we get to the meeting, everything's going well, and the Charlie's in there. Charlie's probably a geologist, and then basically he tells the truth. He tells that there's a chance that if we could take it, there's a 10% chance we could go over the DP or the oil rig that's out over the water. We could hit gas, or we could just spend $40 million on nothing. And Tommy is like, okay, it gets upset because, well, Cami's like, well, you're saying there's a chance. If we don't use it, he's like, she asked him straight out.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's almost $1 in a million.
So Cami's now. She's like, I'm all in. You guys. I know. And so everybody leaves. And goes downstairs. Rebecca has a fight with Charlie, and then Charlie basically calls her out because she wants nothing to do with him. She's dumping him, and Charlie says, "This is you. When things get tough, you cut off, and then you're going to be a sad, old, depressing woman, and it really struck her. So she leaves, and Tommy stayed up to talk to Cami, and he tells Cami, hey, look, I understand you want to do this, but it's $400 million, it's a lot of money and big risk, it's like, let me just smooth these things over, and we'll just, you can leave, you can, you can sell the company, whatever, get out of this. Live comfortable with your daughters. And then this is what surprised me, because I thought Cami was going to yell at him because remember we're told that Cami thinks he's a loser. Cami gives him a hug, but then she also kisses his cheek.
Yeah, I was like, the only one I could talk about is because she tells him the story about handsome man touching her.
Yeah, then touching her and stuff.
So what I was just saying about the betting scene there, the martingale strategy.
They're going to do that with
here you have a cost benefit. It's going to cost us $400 million here, but it might only cost us $350 million, whatever it is. So we're going to minimize our losses here, whether we get sued or not. Cami, what do you want to do? So they explain to her what's going on, and because the geologist basically says, yeah, there's only like a 10% chance here, but he has a bit of conviction that he thinks he can find it or whatever. There's two things going on here. Cami, when she's thinking about all, she does the right thing. She listens to everybody. It's a professional meeting. Nobody's being downgraded. She decides she wants to try it because as she goes, and I love how they wrote this for the average viewer. Well, I don't think I understand what it is you're trying to say. Billy Bob, explains it in Every Man Speak. So when she asks that of the geologist, he goes, well, depending on the actual output numbers, he goes, instead of saying you're printing millions, you're looking at billions, possibly trillions, but in gas, meaning the value of it. So what I mentioned before about, say, a 10-to-1 payout of $1,000 to get 10,000, that's your asymmetric upside. If you have a couple of those bets as a small percentage of your portfolio, your position size and all that, one or two of those is your winners that will cover all your other losses and then some, and then you've beaten the market. That's how people beat the market, if they beat the market. Most people don't, but that's the actual setup to do it. So she's looking at it that way, even though she's not a bettor, but she doesn't say it that way. She's got that line. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Something like, not about integrity or winning or losing or something like that. I think she just says, I just want to be successful.
Yeah, so she basically says, I'm going to stick it through. You guys are all quitters. There's a chance we could do this. Let's go see it through.
And you know what? You said this a few episodes ago when we were talking about her, and I was getting kind of, I think we both were of something that happened with her.
Yeah.
And you had described her as basically the trophy wife. Not that that was a bad thing, but as she was married to the guy that did it, she was not involved in the business, rightly so. So now, again, she has this awakening in her physically because of this attention from another male. Now she has it in terms of who she is as a person going to run the business. A lot of these themes are just mirror each other with all what they're doing here so far in this episode.
the thing with Cami needs somebody to basically like, belittle her, make fun of her, or whatever, and then she gets this like this superpower, like Super Saiyan mode, where she's able to like become awesome. So yes, having the guy get on there, kind of like, it didn't really cost her or assault her or whatever, but it kind of like boldened her, because she basically rethought everything, and I think at this point we're even reminded, because Tommy just basically gets on the plane, and he walks down in the lobby, and he's like, "What the hell's going on with Rebecca?" And he's like, and she's kind of upset and stuff. He's like, "Okay, whatever." And then they get on the plane, and then Charlie is sitting over there, and he's like, "No, Rebecca subscribes from him." He's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" He's like, it's like, I can understand why. Because you're probably mad at Charlie for. I'd be mad why what he said, but he's like, "Why the fuck do you care?" It's like, it's not going to affect you personally at all. And he kind of like gives her another father-daughter kind of talk, and it kind of like clears her mind. So, I think her and Charlie are going to get back together. I don't think that's the end of it, But she was kind of like, she was more upset because the fact that what he said about her was true. And he said, well, the truth hurts, shit, it's how you deal with it, either accept it or you try to change yourself, Anyway, so they land. He goes back over to stops over with his driver to go see Galano and Andy Garcia. And he goes over there, and he's like, how the fuck does everybody always know I'm here? He's like, don't you have security cameras in your building? And that's how they always know he's coming up. The security alerts them. And he's like, But so he tries to talk to Andy Garcia's character, and like, hey, what's going on? He said it's a event. He's like, and he's like, you should back out of this. It's not an investment. But he says, Andy Garcia is like, here's the thing about Cami. Cami gave me all the royalties right there and there. He's like, so he does not lose any money.
Mm-hmm. He's locked. He's good.
He's locked in. And he says
he's leveraged in. This is almost
and he says, I did not make the deal with you. I made the deal with Cami.
Right.
So yeah, right there and there. Oh, knife.
But they're not arguing, they're having a discussion. This is the most positive they've been with each other.
Exactly. There was no yelling back and forth. They sat down, and I thought that's the first time that he has not raised his voice to Tommy, or vice versa. I thought that was really good for the relationship. But
he can relax now because he's made the deal. He did all the work to. I don't want to say seduce Cami because I don't think he was doing it. Even though he's a trending guy, but I just think he's very good at what he does. And you're like, damn, this guy's good.
My thing is that
like he's playing you, like taking advantage of you, but people that go, shit, he got the better of me. Well, that's on you in business. He provided her an opportunity. If it wasn't going to be him, it was going to be somebody else. So I have absolutely no problem with it. Andy Garcia.
Yes. So after this, basically Tommy leaves. Tommy goes home, and we come across basically they're having about to have a dinner. It's a baseball theme going on. And he's like, wait. She's like, sorry, I didn't have time to stop and make dinner. So we only have hot dog. He's like, I actually might be able to survive this dinner, because he said right now it's with all the women. All the women in my world right now are like angry and just like are messed up, crying. He's like, dear God, let me go through dinner life. So they actually turn out pretty well. And he actually goes over and he starts to like, kind of flirt with her, and him and his wife pretty much are kind of happy situation. Dale makes a question. He's like, because I would say like I forgot who said. They said, well, I guess we're not getting hot dogs. I think Nate said it. And he's like, well, someone's getting a hot dog. And he's like, and he's like, it's okay. It's like, I understand. So the other things going on here too is there was no Ariana. So
thank God.
Yeah, I know, right?
My God, that's listen. Thank you. Yes.
Oh. Well, that's what she's there, right? You go. No. So the other thing we didn't mention on here was is that TL, the stripper, came over, and Nate's like, and she talks to Nate. He's like, "Is here? I'm like a physical therapist." And he's like, and he's on the phone with Nate had been on the phone with Tommy at the time. And Tommy's like, just fucking let it go. It's like, don't ask the questions, whatever. He's like, just let her in. And she's like, well, where's TL? It's like, he's in the hallway down there on the left. She walks in, and this is, I love this because we get to see Dale again.
All over the place, bro.
Dale has a problem whenever he's in the bathroom. Women always walk in on him.
Yes.
It's the second time in the series. Yes. He's taking a piss, and he's like, He's like, "Are you Taylor?" He's like, "No, but I could be Taylor." And she's walking in. She's got her booty shorts on, the jean shorts to be showing off her. They're I call them half shorts because
a lot
they're
more
not
popular in the 80s, sir.
Yes.
Dying off in the 90s.
Yes, the Daisy Dukes.
Sad to say. Yes.
So she walks in, she sees TL, and he's like, he's like, "I'm your physical." He's like, "Shit, physical therapist? Oh, well, fuck, I can't say I know that." And then Dale's still trying to like, "Yo, my back hurts," and it's like, and TL steps, he's like, "Get your own damn physical therapist." And she's asking, "What do you want to do?" And it's like, "Well," she's like, he's like, "Well, my everything hurts." He's like, "Well, you ever tried aquatherapy?" Yeah, where you just you just relax there, and floating there in my arms. He's like,
he does have a good line there. He's looking at it, he goes, "Let me see if I got this right. You're telling me you're going to take me out in that pool, and I'm going to float in the water, and you're going to rock me back and forth in your arms." And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, yeah, I mean, he's like, once he realizes what happens, he's like, "Okay." He's like, "But I don't have any swim trunks." And she's like, "I'm just going to be in my underwear." And she's like in her top or whatever. Like, that's nothing. It's nothing vulgar. But the thing I wanted to ask you about that, though, seriously, I liked how when Tommy went in, because it's kind of bizarre with the whole hiring the stripper and they have a conversation. What I liked about this actress was the fact that she's kind of like, you could tell she played it to me like somebody that had been approached by older guys that have money, because there's always those guys.
She had said that, yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, 3 hours in the gym every day," or whatever like that, because she's fit. She doesn't have that fake I'm doing my glute thrust bullshit fake gym butt kind of stuff.
She's not chewing bubble gum and all that stuff, like an airhead.
No, she looks like an athlete. And so when she gets there, there's something about her that only says yes, because it's not about the money, because he shows her a picture of him and goes, "Well, this is him, and this blah, 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 or whatever." And so she's like, "Well, what's his name?" So it's kind of like this human connection, right? And not that they're going to be in a relationship or anything like that, but they have a relationship.
But this woman is not leaving the show, though.
I don't know that she will. She's got to be, because the way she's acting in the pool, and that's what I was going to ask you, is did you see how she just seemed to really find comfort in doing that? Like, maybe she can have a more positive way of making good money interacting with somebody other than stripping.
Here's the thing, though, because Tommy had asked, he's like, "Well, you don't have to take your clothes off." He's like, she's like, "I enjoy taking my clothes off."
But that's true. It was like offensive to her, like I'm not ashamed of my body. I'm a strong, independent woman. This is what I do.
So I say that she's gonna be around, and plus I think you're gonna see TL being a little more happier, especially with her. If this woman stands out hanging out, I don't think they're gonna be like a trophy wife or they're gonna get married or whatever. But I think that you're gonna see a lot more of this woman around on the house, working out and helping out with the TL. So you might. So, and I think this might be the end. I'm hoping this is the end of where, "I'm sorry, son, but life sucks. Boo-hoo me, I can't move." None of that bullshit. I think we're not gonna be no more fucking sunsets, okay? Or sunrises. You're gonna see TL probably be much happier. What's this show kind of need for his character? He needs that character growth. He's been trying to amend with his son. Make him amends there. They're good now, him and Tommy. But now it's TL needs work on himself. And just like Tommy's been working on himself. I think by season 3, we're gonna go back to like a season 1 kind of thing with more dangerous stuff. I think that's gonna be more possible, especially if this deal. Well, we know that it's gonna hit oil, water, gas, whatever. They're gonna the whole investment on the rig is gonna work out. And then
I still think you got to have a split between some of these major groups.
I think what's gonna happen though is because he's trying to cartel. I think the FBI is going to get involved in next season. I don't want it to be, but then again, we've only seen the FBI brought in with the other show, Tulsa King, and it was done horribly. It was just shoehorned in. This actually could be good, because now there's consequences. Because I said, once something goes good in his life, it's the way these shows go, or something bad's going to happen being away, and he's got to face an antagonist. The antagonist being someone from the FBI and be like, "Are you laundering money?" There's got to be something. There's got to be something else going on, because unless you're ending the show with season 2 where everybody's happy, hunky dory, that's it. That's cool, but I don't feel like we're gonna go over 2 or 3 or more seasons. Probably, this might be a 7-season show. I don't know, but. Honestly, I want something to happen. It has to be some kind of antagonist, because right now there really isn't any antagonist at all. The antagonist is the well, we could lose money or we make money. And that's it. Cami's been kind of a little emotional. Because here's the thing too. When Tommy met with Galano, Galano said, well, she's a very unstable and emotional person.
Yes.
So I could see him maybe trying to take over her company.
Oh, without question.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. So that's what I think it's
going to.
I think the end of the season, you're going to see him. Well, see, I invest in this stuff. Well, what you signed here is that I now run your company. I own you. We're going to do this. So that's a cliffhanger I'm thinking we're going to have with the next season is that now they're stuck with Galano, and and he says he does. We still don't know what his employer is, but he's brought up this episode. Tommy says, make money for your employer here, but we don't know who his employer is. As far as we know, that Galano is at the top. So.
They're going to have to do something because while I appreciate the emphasis on trying to, throughout whatever difficulties they have with the business, I mean, Sam Elliott's character says absolutely right, where he just basically says, you're always in a rush for your problems. They're always going to be there for you, son. You need to. And so he really concentrated on this episode on just let Angela have the 10,000, listening to her, listening to Rebecca on the plane, which, for her acting like, a hurt little girl, he listened, he didn't offer advice.
He's relaxing a little bit. So
exactly, that's good. So something has to bite them in the ass here really horrifically in the next episode or two.
Because he's relaxing, he's not on edge anymore. He's not, trying to protect everything. And now then he's kind of like a more relaxed, position. Not relaxed where he doesn't care at all. But Tommy still is like, he looks out for Cami because he doesn't want to see his best friend, wife, be taken advantage of and all stuff. It frustrates him no end. And it's great to see what's going on. So the other thing I want to touch on is basically with Cooper. We didn't get to see. We saw him in the group. They left. And then the next thing we know is that Dale is taking a piss. So obviously, with the pumps or we would call it the wells already working stuff, Dale doesn't be there because he's a inspector. Mm-hmm. But I want to see more of Cooper in that role. Maybe something goes on.
We've been saying that for a while now. And it's taken 2 seasons for it to start to come into play.
And now that he's proposed to Ariana and stuff, is this going to cause problems with him working at the patch?
Of course, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, I'll say this, as we're getting close to finishing up this episode, is that while you're mentioning something I think we've talked about before, and I think everybody listening, wants to see that as well. One of the problems I have with this show is it's kind of like the pacing of it. I said how in Tulsa King the last season, how they started off right, I thought was kind of an interesting concept with legacy, with the family stuff, and a bit of a darker tone, and that just kind of didn't go anywhere. That's the problem with some of these shows here is that, we're starting or stopping. If all the storylines are going to be finding something nice, like Angela and her daughter out with the older people gambling and having a good time, that's great to see it. But that should be the only positive thing. Something else should be something should be doing good, something should be doing bad, something should be transitioning from good to bad. It'd be kind of like in that middle position if you're going to be running these 3 storylines, I think. Otherwise, it's just we're kind of like, yeah, that's nice. Oh, they're happy. Okay, they're happy. Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, he's got a stripper who's giving him physical. Okay, what the fuck is going on here?
So that reminds me of the Old Man Show.
Yes.
At FX, there was always something going on. So there's always something, where he fixes one thing, whatever, and then he either makes it worse or something happens. And FX, I said it was so stupid there than the cancel because apparently they cost too much or whatever or lapse. But despite what you think about it, they had a great cast, they had a great storyline, and there's always suspense, thriller.
The first couple episodes are absolutely phenomenal and tremendous, and I'm glad you're mentioning that because I can see the parallel you're talking about. And since we did review that here when it came out on the Xtreme Movie Show, I can clearly remember the whole scenes of him walking the town, seeing who's watching him with the dogs as an older guy. So again, we got to see somebody do something in action rather than people talking about it and everything else.
We have Rebecca. Rebecca's just the baddest lawyer. So she has her own faults. I need somebody to take advantage of that. I need another lawyer for someone else, whatever. Maybe Galino's a lawyer and says, who becomes her rival. Like, give me something, It's like, It's like having a bunch of you're gonna do a superhero comic book, about superheroes. But there's no villains.
Exactly. You've got to have a bad guy.
You need something like that in order to make why do I care about this hero if he's not doing anything heroic? I'm a hero in a town with no crime.
I really kind of thought the whole thing would have been Cami kind of turning on them, not because she's an evil bitch, and you can sit there and say, oh, she's under the influence emotionally because of the passing of her husband and all that, and she's desperate, and mean, but just that she just wanted to be successful on her own, but she feels the right way to do it is with the cartel guy who's actually listening to her, where the other people are like, no, you don't want to do that, and she's like, no, you're telling me what to do, so I'm going to go listen to this guy.
See what I would have done?
That was the genius of
the guy who approached her. If she would have slapped him, I would have had that. Had her slap him, and it comes back to bite where now he's someone important to needs in order to get something done. And now because she offended him, now she's kind of stuck.
Demi Moore does a great job, and I've said it before, but even in the few scenes she has here, it's a tough
emotional anger, yes,
but you can tell she represents herself like a very strong woman, and that's always good to see. Not that I don't take Ainsley seriously, but she's had nothing
a lot of roles
for 2 seasons, and she's trying to find the soft side, helping out her mom. But she's like the least interesting character right now.
Well,
besides Ariana, who pisses me off.
As our friend Eric Breen on the channel says, Ainsley's there just for us to look at. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Now she's got some company. I want to see some cat fighting in that house, though. I want to see the therapist girl come out. She's got the booty shorts on, and Nancy gets up, and they're like, good morning, with the shit next to each other while they're getting coffee or something. I want to see something like that. That would be good.
We might get that towards the end of the season or maybe next season.
So,
because right now they haven't really crossed paths. She's outside with TL in the pool while they're all having their dinner or whatever. And Ainsley's also done some character growth too as well this season. The little we get to see her as much, but their brother, and kind of and then just kind of basically her mother. Correct her. I said, quit being spoiled, quit being a dick, to your brother, he's your brother. And I love that. So I think Ainsley might grow up as she comes off always as a very caring character, but when it comes to her brother, she's completely opposite. We're at the end of this series. Do you think we're gonna see Tommy, Basie, and Angela getting married?
I think that'll be end of next season. I think they're going to stretch that out. I think there's going to be some drama that's going to distract them both from achieving that. And I thinking the way you're ending the show is the realization that those two are a happy couple, and that maybe you see it in a younger couple. Unfortunately, that's why I do think that Ariana they'll end up getting married, and despite whatever issues, they'll stay together. I think that's the wrong way to do it. I think he needs to get burned, literally, with a relationship to kind of become a little jaded and more realistic about how the world works, especially with his intellect and the fact that he's representing being a landman, and he's not that son's father.
I know I'm still waiting for my back of mind. They probably won't do this, but I'm thinking Ariana, she is very opinionated. If she finds out that the ring she got is from his mother, she might. I hope she flips out, because it just shows how much of a likable character she is. Because she wants to be a certain way.
And I don't think she would be raised Catholic, because she likes to, portray, even though she never mentions going to church. And,
we never see anybody in this family, in this whole show, going to church at all.
Yeah, but they made a point where she said that. That's why he had to pass he had to pass the test, which was insulting. But then he had to pass 2 more, like he's fucking Hercules or something.
So the whole, and plus, she's, because I love how she says, we're having sex outside of marriage and all stuff. I need to be married stuff. But yet she doesn't speak up about his parents who are divorced, who are
shacking
together.
Up.
Yeah, shacking up. On top of that, it's so you think she'd have, if she's a devout Catholic, if she says she'd be offended by that. And when she finds out that she got the ring from his parents who had a failed marriage, she'd be like, well, no, that ring's tainted. I don't want that. So
if she were, that's a big red
but
flag.
I don't think the writers even thought of that, so they don't care. I mean, maybe, I'm guessing they have something else going at Ariana, or maybe this is it for Ariana. We're not going to see her for the rest of the season.
Well, we're going to. I would be surprised.
I think something's going to happen.
1 or 2 scenes in the next episode.
Yeah.
And honestly, we had a little bit in season 1 and much less of it here in season 2 of what I call the class system, where you had your workers on there going out for coffee, and then you got your middle level management and the people that make a run, and then the money players, right? So you've got your 3 distinct levels. And so when he's like driving off to Galveston, wherever it was, to go get the blessing and all that kind of stuff, you're seeing that's a hardcore lower class to middle class working kind of family where he doesn't belong because he's in that middle class, even though he hasn't proved himself yet, but he's trying to do the right thing, be proper. I've always liked that he's trying to do the right thing bit, and the contrast it plays with people from different backgrounds and levels.
I do hope that the actor does put on some weight, because see how scrawny he is. And I hope that's do you think he's just naturally that skinny, or do you think he lost weight for the role?
No. I think he's that skinny. He's what we would say, physically speaking, we would call him underfed. If the guy actually ate to gain weight and just by being active, he would fill out to whatever his natural weight be. He might be 140 soaking wet. I'm looking at him, and he could put on 20 pounds without even thinking about it. But sometimes people just, the hardest part about when you're lifting weights and trying to put muscle on is the eating part, not even the sleeping or the recovery or the lifting of the weights. It's the eating and the amount that you have to eat. And if you're drinking beers and smoking and doing shit like that, you're just eating stuff. You're not eating like you should be. But when you're young, you don't care, right? That's definitely it's very tough to look at with him. I look at him and go, come on, man.
Personally, I've always ate one meal a day. I never could handle breakfast in the morning, even when I was a kid. I didn't like it at all. And it wasn't just cereal. It was like, pancakes or whatever, and stuff. I just wasn't a fan of it. So I just stopped eating in the morning, and then I had a little bit I maybe have like a snack for lunch, but my dinner's been my whole entire meal for the whole entire day.
I'm eating all the time during the day, 4 or 5 meals a day, easy, constantly. Yeah, that's just how it is. I can't do the 1 or 2 meals that some people do. Yeah, I mean, everybody's different that way. And so it'd be interesting because there's enough time between a season and another where if something like that happens, and this happens in real life and it affects the shows.
Yeah, I'm like Tommy.
Somebody gets pregnant, somebody gets an injury, things happen. You have to write that in. And that's one of the last comments I was going to say about the shows. I felt like they did the Tulsa King thing, or like how most shows they do now. They write everybody just enough where you can give them 1 or 2 lines in the next episode, make it seem like they're doing something. So you call it character growth, but you're leaving it flexible enough so you can course correct as the seasons go on until you go, okay, now this is how I'm going to end it, because they're going to tell us, hey, after season 3 we're canceled or whatever. Yep. Or in this case, season 2 started off getting much more viewership than season 1, and so everyone's like, okay, shit.
Well, to be fair, season 1, I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't see the advertisements, but I didn't really see anything advertised through on YouTube, whatever advertisements or anywhere really there.
Right.
Because I mean, sometimes shows just go under the radar, there's a lot of FX shows I've never seen, but then again, if I go to the theater though, my theater would always, I learned about Justified by going to watch a movie, because they showed like the FX thing, preview, whatever, like, before you go to watch, before the movie starts. Right. So I saw that, the feature, whatever, and that was in the summer, and I was like, shit, this looks good. And I had no idea who anybody was on there. And I happened to see another thing, later on, and then I watched the first season. I was like, wow, this is like a fantastic show. I was like, why don't they do more shows like this? I still got to watch The Wire and The Shield. I hope those are both good movies or shows, I guess. The Wire, more so.
You had mentioned this episode about how the one guy, the girls keep walking on when he's in the bathroom, and we've talked fondly. I think the scene that I remember the most so far in this season is the pirate dinner. That was hysterically funny.
Everyone,
the show's about. I liked it a lot.
It showed, and I liked it too because it showed you that Rebecca is now part of the family. Before she was an outsider.
Yep.
Now that she's actually involved in everything, now she has to suffer just as much as Nate does. But it seemed like she was enjoying herself, though.
Well, she also knows too here when she makes the comment about, I'm upset because what he said's true, and so it hurt me or whatever. And she does get one up. She does have control issues. It's not just a flying thing. She's a very insecure little girl that projects strength, and when she does it right, it's phenomenal.
And but we don't know what her backstory is, but I don't want to hear it.
We'll know more of that later.
Probably.
Well, last final thought here, and we'll wrap it up. I hope We'll see what happens. The last 2 episodes that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks, something major negatively, the seeds of what's setting up for season 3 is coming in.
Yeah.
However, in season 3, you got Stripper, you got Ansley, you got Ariana, and don't forget Shelby or whatever the next door neighbor is. There's a potential for
you want a cat fight.
Listen to me. I've got 2 words for you. With
Bachelor party.
Pillow fight.
Well, I was going to say bachelor party because, well, Ariana doesn't have any people.
That's true. He would have to get a bachelor party, and they would have to.
Yeah.
You know what he needs to do? He needs to get in a fight with Ariana over something when they if they're engaged or whatever like that. And then bachelor party or like that, maybe the girls over there, whatever, she gets involved because now they're friends, and he sleeps with a physical therapist, and it's a one-nighter. Nobody seems to know, and he just goes on to marry her. That's what I want. That's
physical therapist is a little bit older for him, and a physical therapist will probably be with Ansley, Ansley's mom, and with Ariana, and I think Ariana's just going to be like get in a fight with maybe Ansley.
No, Ansley will get all pissed off at him because she hates her brother or whatever, and then he's feeling whatever because all these women are yelling at him and all that too. In a moment of weakness, the other girl just sees how nice he is, and you know what, he would be the great foil because the stripper's going to look at him and go, "Wow, he really is a nice guy."
I don't think he's not hooking up with a stripper. I'm sorry, I don't care what you say. This isn't. We're on break.
Why do you bring a stripper in a show if you're not going to have her do something like that?
Because they're not having her as a stripper. They're having her for something else.
Gonna strip, bro.
Yes.
Can't take it out.
No, as far as if anything, I said Ansley does not like Ariana because Ariana likes his brother, and Ariana is very uptight, very me first too, and like I said, those two are kind of butt heads. We've never really seen them together in the same area.
We need some awkwardness
to the funeral.
Ladies. Yeah.
So I need some cat fights, and just I don't. Like I said, as far as I forgot what her name is, but Francesca's her real name. But in the show, I think she's not gonna really interact with anybody else other than just maybe TL, and that's all right for me right now. But when shit hits the fan, it's kind of like the nanny's there, and then she gets involved in everything that's going on. She might get whacked. Who knows? If we bring in like the cartel or whatever.
No.
But something's gonna happen, and then we find out Galeno's Ariana's actual uncle.
I do like how this show makes us think about what's going to happen next too. So we'll talk about it next week on episode 9. Any other final thoughts?
No. But this is the second time where a guy's hit on a girl and she gets offended.
I'm shocked. Well, his mistake was approaching somebody that didn't give him the cues to say, "Hey, it's okay to come over."
Well, it was Ariana at the Patch, at the Patch Cafe. She had to deal with that guy.
Yeah, she did it right.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, it's the second time we've had something like that. Third time actually, because Angela with the guy.
Hey, when you get your money, you're gonna shoot your shot, right?
All right, though. But that's it for our review. If you actually watch the show and you actually are enjoying it, and you watch this episode, let us know down below what you thought. Do you agree with us? Do you think that we're full of shit? Or you think this is the worst show ever? Just leave a comment down below, and we'll answer it next week. When we do our review.
If there's a particular storyline or line of inquiry you'd like us to pursue more in some of these shows too, or movies, whatever we review here on the Xtreme Movie Show, absolutely let us know on that too, because we recently did a birthday request for a movie. We did Bone Tomahawk, so we're always looking for suggestions for stuff that kind of stimulate some of the engagement here. So you guys have something like that, absolutely, like RDV says, let us know. Reach us out on Twitter. We're going to be live here on Sunday night with Movie to Be Determined, something before that perhaps as well too. So
that's 7 p.m. Eastern Sunday night. So
correct. Good night now.
Thanks for watching, guys and girls and dogs with belongs. I don't know. Later.
And physical therapy.